Hey, welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, my name's Chris Hammond, and on this channel, we help out people with retirement issues, help them to be better prepared for it. So when they actually make that decision one day to finally retire, they are financially prepared, and it's a day of rejoicing, not a day of anxiety and dread, wondering if they're making the right decision. Now, one of the things, speaking of dread, and definitely not a very exciting or fun topic to talk about, is what do you do when your spouse passes on in retirement, whenever you become a widow or a widower? Now, this video is really for people that are married retirees, and it's not just for someone who has, just lost a loved one, although this will help if you are in that situation where you are recently widowed or recently widower. But this is, as we go through this, you'll see that this is a really good thing for people that are currently married and they need to kind of have some of their financial ducks in a row so that when something happens, they're going to be as prepared as possible. So that's who this is for. Now, I've got 5 points that are really important for you to consider if you become a widow or a widower. Point number one is, when you're going through the financial statements, especially if you're the spouse that maybe was not the one that handled the bills, the accounts, the investment statements, all that kind of stuff. One of the first places you're going to want to look is like bills and financial obligations, things like that. So there may be things that your late spouse, services that they use, maybe they have certain NFL all access package or something like that, and you're the surviving spouse and you don't want that. You might want to say like, well, there's certain things that we can now cut out of the budget that are not important anymore. But looking over the bills and financial obligations, especially if your spouse was the one who handled paying things all the time, now that's going to be your responsibility. And so that's one of the first things that you want to look at. Now, one easy way to do that is to check out bank account statements. Pretty much everything in your financial life will flow through your bank account, and you can even track down a lot of times like insurance premiums and things like that. You can find all that in there. So if you go there, you can find out that oh yeah, he or she had a Medicare supplement that they were paying for and they don't need that anymore, or they had a Medicare drug plan that they don't need that anymore. Or you may even find when you're looking through that, you may find that they had a life insurance policy that they were paying a premium on. So obviously you don't want to keep paying the premium each month on that, but more importantly, if there's a life insurance policy there, you want to look into that and make sure that those death proceeds are going to the right place. Hopefully, if you're the spouse, you would be the beneficiary on that account. And if you are, it's always important that you are careful with what you do with those funds. In fact, it's good to not rush into anything right away when some big event like this, a traumatic event of losing a loved one, happens. You'll also want to look a little into Social Security as well. Now, with Social Security, if your spouse's Social Security benefit was higher than yours, then what will happen is that benefit will remain and your the lower one will go away. So there will be a reduction in income overall that will occur in your household when that happens. Now, but that may not be the case. You may be the person that has the higher Social Security benefit, and the lower one's going to go away. But if Social Security puts in a payment into your checking account after your spouse has passed away, they're probably going to want that back if they weren't notified yet of the passing. So you want to make sure you don't spend that money if they do want that back as well. So that's another thing that you have to think about. And then the fifth point that I want to talk about today is pensions and retirement accounts. So with pensions, this is where, hopefully you already know if there's any type of survivor option. If your spouse who passed away had a pension, did that pension have any survivor options where, say, you get to continue half or 75% of what pension they were receiving while they were alive? This is where you'll want to notify the pension company and let them know what happened. In all of these scenarios of what you're doing, a lot of times you're going to have a death certificate that's going to be shown to prove the passing of your spouse, right? With retirement accounts, as a spouse, you have the most flexibility with what you can do with a retirement account that you inherit as the beneficiary when your spouse passes away. You can take that and assume it as your own. Let's say your spouse was 75 and you're 66, and they were already taking their required minimum distributions on their traditional IRA. You can take that IRA now, and it can be yours as a 66-year-old going forward, and you have years ahead of you before you'd have to take any more required minimum distributions off that if that's what you wanted to do. So those are some really important points to consider. Now, there are a few cautions as well that you have to think about. If you are recently lost a spouse, don't make any big irreversible decisions quickly. There's nothing wrong with just kind of keeping your financial situation much more liquid. You don't have to be all aggressively invested or say, I'm going to miss out on growth in the market right now. It's okay if it's, for a period of time that you are kind of getting your bearings back after going through the loss of a loved one. So don't make any big irreversible decisions quickly. Also, beware predators. It's a shame that you even have to mention this, but that is the case. People get their bank accounts hacked all the time. Even, at work here, we have clients call in and say, I need you to update my bank information because they're almost embarrassed. They'll say somebody on the phone sounded honest, and I gave them my bank information over the phone, and now I had to change accounts, and they'll call us up saying, hey, let's update our payments, going to whatever insurance policy or whatever it is. So you have to beware of predators for sure. And it's sad that we have to mention that, but well, that's kind of the world we live in. And then most importantly, get an objective review of your financial situation. So especially if you were not the primary person that enjoyed handling the finances, the investments, making sure everything's set up right or managed properly, all that. If you're in a situation like that, get an objective review of your financial situation. Sit down, talk to an advisor, and make sure that they're listening to what's important to you and what you're concerned about. And that any financial recommendations that they give are in line with how your situation and how you feel. All right. That's a very important thing that you need to do. And if you need any help with your financial situation in retirement, head over to my website, retirementplanningmadeeasy.com. You can get a free copy of our step-by-step retirement guide. And if you do want an additional objective review of your financial situation, if you want to reach out to me, then you're more than welcome to do that. You can go to that website again and find my contact info. If you request this free guide, I'll send you an email with the guide in it, and I'll have all my contact info on that. You can simply either call me up, our office, or you can reply to the email and say you'd like to, have a time for us to sit down and chat over the phone or over Zoom or face-to-face if you're in our local area. But just head on over there and check that out. And that's all I've got for today. So I'll see you guys on the next video.